Like a new track. I mean, really, it will be a new track for us to learn because I've only been there one time, and that was when the track was really, really different. So just going there with a new, fresh set of eyes and trying to approach it like I would any other short track I haven't been at, back in the late model days. So it's part of the fun. Is I think we're gonna have the tire options. We're gonna have everyone learning kind of at the same rate, and should make for good racing.
Last week on the broadcast, Mike Joy said he heard we may be racing at Bowman Grace soon. He didn't elaborate, and he may have just been talking off the top of his head. But what would you think about something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure how I really feel about it, but certainly I think that schedule variation is something that NASCAR has really been keen on the last few years. So you never know.
Never know.
Pros and cons. What do you think Goodyear does really, really well, and what is something that you think Goodyear can improve?
We're gonna need that side.
I'll have to get back to you. Let me answer a few more.
Kind of on a similar note, the new right sides is the intermediate tire. Does that change Darlington at all?
I don't think it changes Darlington. Darlington is, to me, it's like Kansas. It is what it is, and it doesn't change a whole lot. But this is the same tire that I think the right side that we ran last week. So it doesn't change a whole lot. We're very similar to what we were here last time, and the car drove very similar. So I don't think it'll be a total game changer for sure.
I think back to when you were racing Eric 2022 here. It seemed like that was kind of the obvious sign that we're going to be air blocking here at Darlington too. So I'm curious, one, is that a fair interpretation? But two, should we be running the short track package here, or is it too close that it doesn't really make a difference?
Yeah, I don't think it'll make a huge difference. I would argue there's something to be said about the intermediate package. We ran it at Dover as well. The short track package doesn't have enough positives to really warrant such a small spoiler on the back. I know why they did it, to try to get the cars to to have more rear downforce on the top side versus the bottom side of the car. But I just haven't seen anything that really says that it's better with one or the other. I'm indifferent on what package that they run here, but I think it's good. We're running speeds where intermediate is probably the appropriate one for this track.
Denny, what did you guys see in Corey Heim for him to race later in the year for Jazz 2311?
Yeah, I mean, he's just doing a really good job. That's kind of the gist of it. Is he's doing a really good job. He's performing well at all types of tracks. I know he works with the 2311 analytics group quite a bit on how to get better and things like that. So I think just the natural progression and connection that he's got with Mobile One. A sponsor he's already had in the truck series. We were doing that program for the 50th anniversary for them this year anyway, so Corey's just someone that was a good fit at a track that we think that he'll run well at.
Were you impressed with how he raced for Eric Jones the past couple weeks?
Yeah, I thought he did very well. I thought he ran right there with his team cars, and to have no experience at all, I think that's pretty impressive.
Corner entry is so unique here. How do you go about finding that comfort zone along the wall versus, let's say, Kansas last week, where you kind of enter the corner already high against the wall?
Yeah, it's different here. It's certainly a fine line, and usually the fastest lane here at this track is going to be the closest that you can get to the wall. There's obviously a risk reward there that you have to play that game, but I love this track because you can move around and change the balance of your car. Your car doesn't have to be necessarily perfect to win here. So I think that's what I like about it. The driver plays a huge role at this type of track, and that's why I love it.
Is there a certain aspect of it that changes every year, or is it?
No, it just ages a little bit more each year. It doesn't have one spot that ages more than another. Your speeds slow down a little bit here and there. I think the qualified speeds were up compared to where we were here last year. So I think conditions and cars getting better is a factor in that, but overall I think you'll see very similar racing to what you saw last year.
Do you think Tyler winning do you think?
Just how long that race was. The biggest thing that jumps out to my mind is kind of the battle with Kyle Busch there on that restart. I think it was a green, white checkered finish. just driving into turn one and not lifting, and was going to be okay with the consequence, whatever it might have been. But it worked out for us, and certainly we were just very mediocre that day. We put ourselves in the top 5 to 8, and then attrition happened. Had some wrecks from leaders that were better than us, and it allowed us to finally have one.
Did race there before the innovation with the cool suits? What was it like then compared to the creature comforts you have in the cockpit now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't run the cool suit as much as others do. Just creature of habit. I think that some of the data that I've seen, it shows a very small benefit to your core temperature. It doesn't change a whole lot, but I think it's more of a mental thing for some, that certainly you feel cooler, but it doesn't really do much. Your skin feels cooler, but it doesn't do much to your core temperature. So I try not to run it unless it's really, really hot, 85 and over days. But certainly Chris would have me running it more than what I would like to. So I like to try to keep the weight out of the car as much as I can. But it's different. Cars nowadays, certainly I think that if the next gen hadn't made a bunch of changes with cutting holes in the rear glass and the front glass, it was going to be pretty unbearable. But I think now that these cars are probably, the inside temperatures are very similar to what we've had for many, many years.
Tyler Reddick winning the pole is a statement by those guys after what was, I think, maybe we consider disappointing Kansas Ford.
It was a disappointing
organization.
week. It was a disappointing week. It was a long week. We definitely downloaded a lot over the week of what led to that type of performance for those two cars, and think we've got a good grasp on it. So I think everyone's going to be better for it. Sometimes you need those wake-up calls that you got to get better. You're not as good as you think you are. So I think those guys certainly took it to heart, and they're working really hard. I know that they've worked really hard this weekend to get cars that are handling good, and it looks like they've got that.
Denny, with the tire option that you've got at North Wilkesboro next week for the All-Star race, what would type of amount of fall off would you like to see between the primary and the other? And if you get that fall off, would you like to have that option in points races?
Well, I definitely am in favor of multiple tire options in all types of racing, for sure. It's going to need to be a significant difference. When I'm saying significant, it needs to be at least 3-4 tenths faster. The issue is how long is it going to last? And so if folks think that it's only going to last 20 laps, or they're probably not going to put it on unless it's at the very end of the race, but then everyone's going to stay off the track position. So I like that they're at least going to make us run it or start the race on that option tire. That is definitely going to create comers and goers, because it's going to be very similar to Bristol, that first run at least.
What is to prevent you guys, and this is probably a Gapehart question, but from landing on the same strategy, getting off the tire at the same time, and then therefore still running the same time regardless of which tire it is?
Yeah, that's my only concern with it, and I applaud that we're trying it. It's my only concern is that it's going to wear too aggressively, and then we're all going to be on the standard tire, and then that's likely not to drop off very much. So I think the most likely scenario is the one you just said.
Denny, looking ahead to next week at North Wilkesboro, do you think it's important as a sport to have an all-star race out here?
Yes and no. I'm not sure. I think that the all-star event in other sports have kind of taken a decline as well. It's a little different. I mean, it used to be in NASCAR, this was just the one race that paid a bunch of money, but that stayed stagnant really for the last few decades, like 3 decades. And so I don't know, I just think that we're trying, and I think our all-star race is as good as anyone's all-star event in other sports. The quality of product you see, NBA, NFL, is just not very good for that. A lot of it's injury reasons, but for us, we're all trying to win it. I mean, trust me, we've seen some really great finishes, and I think that it certainly adds to our sport to have that weekend showcasing the best drivers. I think it probably should be a little more exclusive. I think they open it up to too many over the course of time, where, I mean, all you got to do is lead at a caution, I think you get in the All-Star race. So it's a little different for sure, but yeah, they're trying.
Was it surprised to hear that Race Up would be ending next month, and just how can you kind of describe the impact the show has had, just given how long of a run it's had?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a great show for our sport, something that certainly has contributed a lot during the week to keep storylines going, and certainly the teams valued it as well. It's certainly unfortunate, but I don't think that will be a empty void for a long period of time. I think something will pick up the gap there.
And then with rumors potentially SHR selling charters, is the kind of the charter situation between NASCAR and the teams, is it the same as it's been the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're gonna get a better understanding of kind of where NASCAR's at, probably 7 to 10 days from now, and then we'll kind of probably have updates on whether it's gonna happen or not.
All right, thank you.
This is Brayton Laster. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, check out one of the awesome videos right beside me, and go to frontstretch.com for more awesome racing related content.